And when we actually start to work with our kids, there's something about developing the soft skills that computers can't have. They don't have. They don't have that ability to do that. They don't have ability to be creative. But what's really setting us apart now is not these massive companies that are slower and less agile to actually resolve or be innovative. It's the smaller, more agile companies that are coming up with brand new ideas and getting a lot of business. So that creativity and innovativeness is really an edge. It's a competitive edge that you can have, that will really help you, okay, throughout life. It's not just about self-expression, okay? Self-expression is one part of it, but creative problem solving is something that we all need to be able to do. And there's one area of the brain that we need to focus on in order to do that. So creativity is not just about painting or drawing or doing something like that, but doing those skills does enhance those areas of the brain. But this actually helps us get ahead. If you think about it, Einstein was able to invent or to imagine the theory of relativity. That's all creative. Da Vinci was able to think up the helicopter in the 1500s, and Alexander Bell was like a prolific inventor. This level of genius doesn't exist anymore. We don't have these people because we're not using this. If we're in schools and stuff, if we're not using creativity to solve a problem, it's not being taught. We're seeing less and less of that. And so creativity is really big. It's a really big one. Okay. Next is empathy. Okay. And empathy, if I talk about empathy, and how do you teach a child empathy who has just whacked his sister in the head? Okay. So because they're not thinking that this is going to help them like understand how to make more money or understand how to be a better person. They're not listening to that message. So how do you do that? One of the ways, and I have a lot of ways to do this, is you model it. And for sons really need to see their father show it. So I put a picture on here. If a father can show empathy to a son, if a father can show empathy to a daughter, they're more likely to be more empathetic. Empathy usually is built by the mother, but for a son to be able to show that as a leader and moving on into life, it's nice. It's really proven that the father needs to be able to do that as well at home, not just the mother. The mother is a big part of it, okay, but the father needs to do it as well. So also self-control. So self-control, this research says this is the most important skill that you can actually help your child develop, okay? The amount of self-control that you have actually predicts the health, death rates, crime rates. Actually, this self-control is a bigger predictor of how long you'll stay married. It's a bigger predictor of how successful you'll be and how happy you'll be in life. So self-control. And I mean, they've done a lot of studies. There's a famous marshmallow study I'll tell you in a little bit, but self-control, saying no and actually learning how to do that. And I have lots of tools to teach you how to do that. So first I want to talk to you about the science. Okay. Here's the science. So neuroplasticity, okay, it depends on practice, and practice makes habits. So now Donald Hebb came up with this in 1949. Neurons that fire together wire together. Okay, so when you practice something, if you do something over and over and over, it makes a habit. A habit is when we do something more automatically. That behavior just becomes automatic, so you don't have to think about it. Now, the brain really likes habits because it's every minute it's bombarded by 11 million pieces of information, and the brain can only process 40,000 of those. That's a whole lot, okay, 40,000. But what it does is there's a law of least effort that actually happens, and the brain will find a solution and take the least amount of effort to find that solution. Typically, it does this for almost everything that we do. And if it has a habit, it will just do that habit automatically. It's called the default mode network that we have, the default mode. By default, you'll do that, okay? Now, you can make habits. You can also undo habits. Now, remember, when you're actually talking about habits, it just takes repetitive practice. It just takes doing it over and over and over again. And now I have a whole talk on habits that I've done before and how to do those and how the brain works with those. But neuroplasticity, period, is your ability to rewire your brain, make those new connections. And when you make new connections, the other ones kind of let go. And I have a couple pictures of this. Okay. So if you set up your child to practice a skill often enough, it's going to become a habit. Habitual activity really enhances this synaptic strength. Okay. So behavioral skills become easier to do when there's an information flow that goes through these circuits over and over and over. So when you do something over and over, these flows they become predisposed. These circuits just want to click on in the future. Okay. And parents have a miraculous opportunity, really, to push certain neurons down pathways. And neuroscience shows us that once a path has actually been activated, it's more likely to activate again. Also, it's been like there's a heightened response to the stimulus. So if there's a response to a stimulus, no matter if it's good or bad, okay, if it's repeated over and over again, that's what's really going to happen. That's that routine habit. It emphasizes what we do things over and over again, okay, and it increases or decreases our flexibility towards situations. So what we really want to do as parents, okay, and I have ways, I'm going to show you ways to do this. I want you to increase what we call learning habits. Okay, these incur in our, like, we have control of what we want to do and what we don't want to do. Okay. And so we allow ourselves to learn new things. That's a good habit. Learning new things all the time is a really good habit. But to reinforce something to only be one way and never change, not necessarily good, because we might want to change in the future. So we want to really more reinforce learning new habits than just getting set in a habit. Okay.